What's going on, St. Louis? You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600. Hallelujah, AM. What's going on out there? Boy, it's cold. I know one thing. It's cold, and guess what? And people are catching colds too. So and they're starting off with a cough, a little nagging cough. So if you got one of those, and they'll need to go to the hospital because the hospitals are full.
That's right.
The clinics are full. So try to help yourself, doctor on yourself a little bit, go to urgent care, one of those facilities, and try to help yourself out. But it is here, and it's here to stay. My main man, and the Shaheed, is here too.
Good morning, brothers and sisters. I always start off with Assalamu alaikum and Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I'm excited about this show this morning. We got a hot show, and Secretary sets everything up. Sometimes we can't do nothing until she come in, and then she makes it where she's the star of the show. So we ready.
That's right.
So, Mary,
Sister Felicia Hampton.
Good morning, St. Louis.
Oh.
Go ahead and tag 10 friends and invite them in. We're here.
That's right.
Get your pen and paper.
And look, we got a special guest.
Yes.
No, this is beyond special. This ain't no regular special.
He's over the top. This brother here plays above the rim.
Yes.
Huh?
That's what I'm talking about.
That's right. No other than,
Come on, I'm gonna let
Kevin, Superintendent, Doctor of the St. Louis Public Schools.
We're gonna do it. I want everybody clap. Everybody clap.
Kelvin Adams, everybody. He's here with us. So we're going to talk to him a little bit about what's going on at the public schools, his transition. Of course, you know, he's leaving us, but he's not leaving St. Louis.
That's right.
He's still going to be here with us for a minute. I would imagine that he is probably the longest serving superintendent. Or is there one other one?
So good morning, everyone, and I am the third longest.
The third longest.
But
All right, then.
the longest in the 20th century, put it that way.
I would say
right.
the longest brother.
Oh, yeah. Now you're always at the top now.
He's the longest brother.
He's going to be the first tonight, this morning.
But before we get into that, I've got a few little housekeeping things. I just wanted to let you know, I wanted to talk about this a little bit last week, but I didn't get a chance to. They finally settled this NFL lawsuit. They finally came up with the split of how much money would be split and where it would go. The city of St. Louis gets $250 million. I thought that would be a little bit more because it's $700 million altogether. The county gets $169 million, and the Dome Authority gets $70 million. So I would imagine they got some other monies in here somewhere because all that adds up to is about $489 million. So there is probably, looks like about $211 million floating around here somewhere that we got to track down, but we'll get into that.
We'll drill down.
We'll drill down, but I wanted to put that on out there. Dr. Adams, I know, we come to the end of the road, and quite frankly, what was it that made you decide that you're a young guy, what made you decide to, I'm gonna fold my tent?
So, Mayor, first of all, I just want to thank you and Brother Shaheed for inviting me to be here this morning. It is my honor and privilege to sit next to both of you. I have a great deal of respect
come on,
for you.
don't do it like that.
No, I'm just being honest. I want to be honest tonight. This morning, rather. And so, excellent question. And, I've been doing this for 14 years. It's been an honor and privilege to work with the community and support kids. But I just felt that it was time. There was a new board. I had done all of the work that I could possibly do, and I want to give them an opportunity to select somebody that they thought that they wanted to have in place. There was no pressure from anybody to do anything different. We had just recently approved the bond with about 88, 89%, 87% approval. And so the board has $160 million to renovate buildings and to do some unique things. We received about $170 million of ESSA funds that the district is spending right now. Those are funds to support remediation for kids and all kinds of other things as a result of the pandemic. And so the district is in a good financial position. As you know, the district has been fully accredited since 2017 after being unaccredited for a number of years.
Just made that note.
And the bottom line is chaos has kind of gone away.
Yes.
The kind of drama that occurred prior to my arrival has ended, and so some stability had been there. There are people in places, principals in places, and I just felt it was time. It was time to move on. As Serena said, there needs to be a 2.0. So 1.0 is over. Calvin Adams 1.0 is over. There'll be a 2.0 for me somewhere else, but
Yes.
I just feel that it's time for this community to accept a new leader to lead the district. A lot of work still to get done.
Yeah.
Still a lot of work to get done, and a lot of work in this community. One of the things that has really bothered me, since you give me a little time on this mic this morning, is the number of young people that we've lost as a result of what has happened in this community.
Yes.
Over 170 students since I've been superintendent have lost their lives. To give you an example, last week, I signed cards when students lose their lives. 5 cards I signed. 5 cards. 4 students.
Just last week.
Just last week, 2 killed in a shooting, 2 killed in a car accident, and 1 5-year-old and his father killed in a fire. And so I'm just concerned about what happens to kids in this community. And part of the reason I stayed so long is to try to make a difference in that space, because our kids need advocates in places of leadership to support them, because they don't have those kind of advocates sometimes in our communities. And so, long story short, Mayor, it was just time.
Well, you calculated it, and I just want to say congratulations on the job.
Yeah,
well
come on,
done.
that's what I want to.
That's what I really do.
I want everybody, come on, Secretary, you gotta be clapping. Everybody gotta clap on it. Doc, you clap too.
You earned,
Yeah.
you earned your keep.
Yeah.
I mean, we knew you were here. You did some things that needed to be done. You got it back into the accreditation that we were so badly lacking.
Yes.
And you set the course. We got money in the bank. So, you made the call. So I guess that's a good time for you to decide that you're going to depart. But I know you're going to be involved in other things. So I know you'll probably be calling some plays in to the school board to let them know, hey, no, we tried that. My father used to tell me, son, you don't have to put your hand on the stove to know it's hot. I can tell you. You know what I'm saying? So if they're listening, some people can be hard-headed.
So I am going to, as you said earlier in your comments, I am committed to the city of St. Louis. I'm going to be here. My goal is to be here forever. My wife basically told me that if I move, I'm moving by myself. She wasn't from here, right?
No,
she's not from here. She's from New Orleans, but this is home.
Sister city.
This is home. We're going to be here, and to your point, I do plan on continuing work to support kids. I don't know what all of that looks like today, but I can guarantee you there is a level of commitment for me to make sure that I'm trying to make a difference in young people's lives.
Man, that's fantastic.
Well, I want to jump in here because Secretary talks about you, Secretary Felicia, because she's in the school system. So we can't never not talk about her, and I got to do that because I saw she went, is Dr. Adams coming? I said, is he coming? He's coming this morning? She has so much enthusiasm in there because she's in the school. So I want you to kind of jump in there and talk to them too, Secretary.
I just appreciate being underneath your leadership. I work out of Gateway STEM High School, and I got a chance to sit in on a meeting that we had at Vashon, myself, Dr. Punch, Dr. Marty Casey, and I learned from you in that meeting. You just maintain with all the, can I just say it out loud, the criticism. And I was sitting behind you, you didn't know it, and
You said that.
someone was they're just firing off, and somehow or another your tie just went over your shoulder, and it laid on your back. And I tapped Dr. Punch and Dr. Casey. I said, we got to get us some ties so we can learn how to deal with pressure when it comes, And so I just appreciate, I learned just by watching you. You don't probably know who I am, but I've been in district for, it'll be 6 years in January.
Thank
so
you.
I appreciate being underneath your leadership.
Well, thank you for making a commitment to work with our kids and our families. It's a tough job in our environment. A lot goes on in our city, and unless there are people like yourself standing on that wall in those rooms, in those buildings, everything I say or do doesn't really matter. And so I just say thank you very much, and not just you, but the 3,500 employees who come every single day and really, really give their lives to support kids. And so I just want to say thank you.
Sure, thank you.
And I want to say something, too. That day the situation happened at that school, you were the front and center. And I got to say this here because I'm just telling you, everybody else was doing everything else. But why they damn near didn't know you was there when they was going to start doing this press conference, because you was down there where those children absolutely were laying on the ground physically dead, not alive. With all the commotion, with all the confusion, everything that was there, all the rest of them was trying to do, oh, wow. We're going to come back to that.
Okay.
We're going to come
We'll
back.
come back.
Yeah.
It's time for a break. We'll be
Wow.
right back. You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KATZ 1600. Hallelujah, AM. Keep it on lock.
Quit
Quit playing.
playing.
Oh. Welcome back, St. Louis. You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KATZ 1600. Hallelujah, AM. We've got Dr. Pelvin Adams here with us.
Yes.
In the house as
Yes.
well. Live in color.
The one and
I tell
only.
you, man, and we talking about education, talking about the St. Louis public schools, and we'll be getting into talking about the future. So,
Yes.
Dr. Adams, what?
I want to finish and look
Go
what
ahead.
I was
I'm
saying.
sorry.
man. No, that's
I'm
all
sorry.
right.
Go ahead.
You saved me because I was talking and it was time for a break, but I forgot it was a break. I got that excited, but I was talking
Yes.
about how seemed like everybody else was really trying to do a photo op. That ain't no seem like that's this brother Shaheed speaking. So I'm speaking for brother Shaheed. I ain't speaking for Hollywood 1600. Nobody else. They was there for a damn photo op. But why they had to wait because Dr. Adams was where he needed to be at, trying to make sure the principal was okay. And seeing you hopping out windows and stuff, his mind was on them. So when they started the press conference, he was standing right there. Next thing you know, I don't know who that guy was, a white boy. This brother Shaheed speaking, hops up there like he gonna be the spokesman.
In front of Dr. Adams?
I told him, man, you don't lost your damn.
At
Man,
that
I told-
time, he didn't realize that Dr. Adams
Well, I
was
don't
on
believe that.
scene,
I'm not- I don't
and he
believe-
went to say,
Well, I tell you one
Dr.
thing.
Adams would be here, however,
Yeah.
and then someone said, there he is
no,
right
there.
there.
Was no, somebody
That
said,
was
I turned
you.
around and said, there he is right there. Don't play like y'all
that
don't
was
see
you.
him.
That was you.
Real loud.
Well, you know, that's
Yes.
like Alexander Haig. See, when
Ooh.
You got way back.
it was Reagan that got shot.
That's right, yeah.
And Alexander Haig didn't understand the hierarchy, so he hops up. The president just got shot, but I'm in charge.
Don't go like that. So I hurry up and straighten that out. I say,
Yes, he
you up
did.
there? I'm like, he right there. And next thing, the doc came out. I said, no, we're not
Yes.
going to let you get
It
that up.
was-
Because what I'm not going to do, and I'm just being honest with you, because I know, and this thing for him to say, his brother Shaheed said, they want to play politics. And I know he was planning on retiring, but right now, to me, I didn't think he should have been doing because of that situation was so critical. It didn't need nobody trying to practice on what needed to be done, needed somebody to know
Yes.
what needed to be done. But anyway, I want to tell you, thank you for being there with the students. Because when I went down the street to where those students were, because that's why I went first, those students were crying, and I didn't even know the capacity of what really had happened until I heard people start saying they had absolutely jumped out the window, somebody had got shot in the head, and I'm listening like, whoa, what is it? I didn't even know it was that bad. And that's where you stayed at. You damn near didn't even want to come up there for the press conference.
No, you are correct. I mean, we had a lot of chaos going on, and we were trying to stabilize some things, and the press conference was really the last thing that was on my mind. It was really about supporting the kids and the families. We had to break the news to the mother of the young lady who lost her life, and so that's where we were. I mean, that was more important than anything else. The other stuff was, to your point, I call it white noise. It just had to happen. It's not a negative around the people who did all the talking, but at the end of the day, it was really about trying to support the kids,
all it
and that's
was.
kind of where we were.
So I want, and you lost a teacher, and your mind was on that, along with the
That's
students that was in. It was so much. It was so many things going on, moving parts. I tripped on seeing you and saying, "Wow, he got something on him right now. This is serious. Active shooter. That was serious." And to put those fires out and to stay right there, I want to publicly thank you, Dr. Adams. So y'all can go on with it, but I had to get that off.
Thank you.
They, what I was concerned about, first, acknowledging the tragedy that had happened, but then I start stepping through and drilling down to the shooter and the weapon. And, I want to commend members of his family because they knew he had a problem. And they were aware of the fact that he had that gun. And one of the family members took it from him.
Sure did.
So what I was trying to do, I still haven't figured that out, or maybe you might know, Doc, how did he get it back?
Yeah, we didn't get any information. The police and the FBI kind of managed that. They didn't give us any of that kind of information.
Okay, well, all right, well, that would be of concern to me. Who gave it back to him? Was it the same person, or did he go get another? Is it the same gun? So, I mean, I'm not really clear on that, and I don't know whether we've got the facts in on that or not. But the whole thing was just traumatizing. I wasn't even in the country at the time, but I was going through it over there where I was, and I had people constantly calling me.
Right.
Man, this is ridiculous. I had people, friends in Illinois, crying.
Yes,
You know what I'm
yes.
saying?
It was serious.
And I
The
just
thing
happened to
about
be.
it was one of those things where you said it would happen a lot of other places other than St. Louis.
Yes. And if I can just go back, that's the thing. That everybody think it can happen somewhere but home,
That's a good
right?
point. That's a good
and
point.
I can honestly say that I felt, and I wasn't here either. I was out of town for professional development, but I can say that I sat in on a training that was provided, and I really feel, while some may have not taken it serious,
Yeah.
they knew what to do on that day because of the training that we had in case it do happen.
Yes.
And I remember someone saying, "Nah, they ain't know nothing like this ain't gonna happen in St. Louis." And it was in 3 weeks after the training, and here we are. And and I felt helpless because I'm in a whole nother state. And like everyone else, I'm getting phone calls, I'm getting text messages, and so just knowing though that the staff had that
Yes.
training, and the
kept
students
talking
had
about that.
also been introduced to that training, and they were able to implement it.
Yes.
And I know it's what made the difference.
Oh, it was extremely helpful.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that because your school had just had that training
Yes.
3 weeks before, and I got an update relative to that training
that
and how
big.
some people took it seriously and how some people didn't take it serious. But to your point, that made the difference. That was a difference maker because
it was.
everybody had some idea what to do. The fire chief said this to me after this incident. He said, "Y'all did everything y'all was supposed to do." He said the only thing that we can never train for is how people will respond when this kind of stuff happens.
Yes.
Because you could train, put all the processes in place, but you don't know how kids are going to respond.
No, you don't.
And the kids responded fantastically.
Well, because they had leadership there. You were there, and it just so happened my niece was the principal of the school, Casey Shaheed.
Yes.
And the reason I know what you did, because she told me. She said it meant a lot that you were there that quick and that you stayed right there because it was hard for them to tell someone, first of all, looking at a student that's not deceased, and then now waiting for the parent to call and then come by and then see. That was so that leadership meant a lot.
Yes.
It makes a big difference. That's why they talk about when you're having a baby, unless it's a breech birth, the head comes out first. When the baby is crawling, the head is out front. When the baby stands up, the head is on top. You got to have that head there. If the head is always trying to get on the camera, that ain't gonna get it. And you was there front and center again. I have to thank you for that because, as Mayor Bosley said, it shook everybody to hear an active shooter was in the building shooting. And I got to thank Colonel Davis because I know all these people. I can't help that I know them. Colonel Davis from your
Yes.
staff,
Yes.
they showed up and showed out. Misty Dobine, because I know names. I can't help that I know
Right.
names. Am I saying the right names?
Oh, yes, you are.
Yeah.
Yes, you are.
And the St. Louis Police Department.
Yes, they do.
I have to be honest
Yes.
with you, and that's why I said we don't have a problem with police. And if y'all do, don't ever call 911 since you have a problem. I just got problems with dirty police. I don't have a problem with police, but your staff
Yes.
showed up and showed out. And I'll tell you something else, but the park rangers.
Yes, they did.
Really?
Yes.
The park rangers.
Yes, yes.
I can't help that I know stuff.
Right.
Park rangers.
They showed up
Yeah.
and showed out, but your staff again, because secretaries started talking about this training, and a lot of them didn't understand that it could happen in St. Louis. We keep on
Yes.
thinking it can't happen here. It happened here, and I'm just so thankful again. And I know you're tired of hearing it, but I'm thankful that you were there and you took that leadership role, and it meant the difference between maybe some other students, along with God being there too, because
Yes.
God, the gun jammed.
That's right.
If that gun hadn't jammed, no telling how many more. But you had people there that knew what they were doing, and so I need to stop talking because I get emotional about this stuff. And, thank you, Dr. Adams, publicly. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you. I think the parents and the kids, and right now one school went back in person last Monday.
Correct.
And 91% of the students came back. Only about 30 didn't come. We have therapists and dogs supporting those kids. 166 kids got therapy with the dogs. 11 got therapy with counselors and social workers. We are working really, really hard to get CVPA back in their building. Painting is going on right now, replacing doors. And so we're really pleased that the community has rallied around these two schools to get kids back in place. And frankly and honestly, ladies and gentlemen, and the community and the public, we have great kids. They are resilient. They're back in school. They wanted to be back in school. They were clamoring to get back in school. We have great kids in this community. If anybody don't think we have great kids, they're losing their mind. These kids are great. They don't have all of the resources that they need to have, and that's our fault as adults for not making it happen. But at the end of the day, we have great kids.
Like on Thanksgiving, I was at my sister's house, and we got a lot of nieces and nephews. And I started thinking about them, and I started thinking about this situation, and I just came out and asked them. I said, how do you all feel now that we've had this incident? I mean, are you, because I just want to know, are you all afraid to go to school or whatever? Right. And they start shaking their head. No, they are doing what they can do. They check book bags and all of this stuff when people come in. These are the kids talking to me and telling me about the procedures and the policies and stuff. So they were feeling as good as you can feel.
Right.
As good as you can feel. So it wasn't like, no, man, I'm scared. I can't go back, Uncle Teak. I can't go. None of that. None of that. They were all almost to the person, ready, prepared, and ready to go back in.
Can I beg you back off that real quick?
Yes.
Because I want to, when you mentioned we lost 170 students since you have been in place for 14 years. And when I talk to some of the youth, their response to me is that we're used to losing people. So we're used to losing our classmates, and say the only thing different this time is that it happened at school. So that loss that they were used to, it's almost like they become immune, sort of, kind of, to it a little bit.
No, you're right. As a matter of fact, 2 years ago, we lost a student at your school, Gateway, and we sent counselors over to support kids. Not one kid came to see the counselor because they said they were used to it. You are exactly right. They felt it was just normal that they lost a kid over the break, because that's what happens. Over the break, somebody gets shot, something happens, and the kids did not come to see the counselors because they felt like, I don't need to see a counselor. This is normal. Unfortunately, in our community, it has become almost normal.
Yeah.
Not necessarily violence, but death.
That's correct.
Yeah, violence is one thing. Death is an altogether different one.
And I don't think the youth understand the importance. The adults, right now, they're offering mental health services, and even the adults are not going to get that services they need to. So it's just something that we need to deal with as a community, on how important it is to go and face that trauma professionally with someone.
Well, and that's the reason, and my niece kept saying that, and she said that here, it's so strong. We got to listen to them. See, when we don't listen to them, that's what Mary Bosley just said. That's what I got from it, but that's what she said. You said you talked to them and asked them to give me your feedback. So many times I've seen people talking about youth, and there's no youth nowhere around. We can't come up talking about what youth going through, and you ain't talking to youth. That's why I always, and he gets tired of hearing too, Mary Bosley helped me establish something that nobody else ever did, because what we were doing was unique. Going into the streets, and when we did it, I constantly said, because it's a fact, and sometimes Mary don't want me to say it, but he don't want to take credit for what it is. Violence was down damn near 25 or 30%, and this is what they put in documentation, because how he has in the street dealing with youth in the street at nighttime for real. This was something separate from the gang abatement. This was something that the mayor, and not only that, Mayor Bosley was out there with us. That's how come we knew the brothers from 5-4 and 4-4. We knew all those brothers. Mayor Bosley would come out there with us at nighttime, the daytime. All we had to do is tell him what area, and he was one to really set that thing and start going. And that's why I keep telling people, why y'all recreating a will that you don't have to recreate?
Yes.
But I think it's really important that we listen to these youth. Not listen to them going to get us in more trouble. They shouldn't be used to knowing they're going to see murders. I remember brother talking about he took everything out of his front room. He had a huge front room so his children could ride their bicycle. Because he couldn't let me, because they don't never know when somebody going to do a drive-by.
Yeah.
See, we're not the parents that we supposed to be, because our parents are, your father, Mayor Bosley, because he believed in Canaan.
Yeah.
That was the main damn thing he talked about, was Canaan all the time. If we was back doing parenting the way we supposed to be doing, a lot of stuff wouldn't happen. But y'all better take, because I'm going to go another direction on this stuff.
I remember when you did the 2017, the 30-year reunion for Tahi Youth Group.
Yes.
And you were saying how
Dark again.
Absolutely, and that's why I wanted to mention it, the buses, the transportation that they had to have to get to the different areas, and how instrumental Dr. Adams was.
Yes.
But remember, the young man said that the tears started coming down his eyes just to see the presence of men
Yes,
coming
I
through
remember
that community.
That's right. That's
And we got to get back to that, because we always say it takes a village to save a community. It does, because somebody got to be there for them, and all they need is some kind of courage. The coldest brother, even when I'm in the jails, want somebody to say he love them. The coldest brother, I don't care how cold he think he is, if you grab him and hug him, I ain't talking about this homosexual thing. This brother Shaheed talking.
Yes, yes.
I'm speaking for brother Shaheed. I'm talking about hug him and tell him, bro, I love you, bro. The biggest room in any house is a room for improvement. You done made mistakes. Guess what? Brother Shaheed done made a whole lot of mistakes in life. But God forgives over and over again. All you got to do is just be sincere. But we got to get back to that, because a lot of them are in trouble because they ain't had nobody to really help them.
But you know what? What you're really talking about is presence.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
You know, and the thing that the bureaucrats get confused with, they want consultants, they want to study every damn thing, you know. But the most important thing is presence.
Yes.
And presence don't cost you nothing but time.
That's all.
All you got to do is take the time to make your presence known.
That's all you gotta do.
And you got a lot of people can't do that, but they don't want to admit it.
They
but
wanna
they
talk.
can't. They just can't for whatever reason.
they wanna
And
talk.
I'm not gonna get into that. They want to talk it out and they want to throw the money at it, but it's the presence that the people want.
But that's what you. I got to keep going back to that, man. It's what you established in us. You made that known. I can talk about some of the piece with the jobs. We didn't talk about, you fixed it while we valeted the jobs. See, they don't even understand this. We didn't have no damn jobs, some of the people that walk around table, pick up stuff. You couldn't come unless you had some jobs. You had to say, you at the Marriott.
In order for a vendor to get into the event, they had to have jobs with them. Right
when
then,
Yeah.
right now.
This one here, see, he don't be wanting me to talk about it. I'm hard-headed. And when he did it like that, we had the buy state there to make sure they had bus pass. We had job readiness. We had people doing what we call resume.
Corporations.
No, we had people doing resume.
Oh no! So yeah, so come up saying, I need a resume.
Yeah, a resume.
He said, "A resume, man."
They said, help this man get a resume. But we had everybody.
He was on it.
He was on it.
He knew what he needed.
We had the unemployment people right there
Right
with us.
there.
Everything that we needed, we validated. We made sure when they left there, we could say,
Hairdressers, barbers.
we had everybody there, right there with us.
So
Dentists.
they got the job while they were there.
Right
They-
there,
right
and
there.
didn't
Didn't
have to worry
come
about
back.
it.
No,
Everything was that one-stop shop. That's what Mayor Bosley set up.
Yeah.
And all this, all I keep saying to them, because they player hating, why create a will, something that's successful? If it ain't broke, don't fix it. So again, I keep on thanking y'all, because it was y'all that put things in place. It was because you kept pushing us, and she did. We came up with 200 brothers and sisters now, and you know, and I'm not saying it for another reason. We established a coalition where right now, to this day, we're waiting for everything to be approved. We got at least 200 people ready to volunteer in the schools right now as we speak. Am I right or wrong, Doc?
No, you're right. No, you're right.
That's because I ain't just putting it out there. I'm telling you, but you established that because what Mayor Bosley said, you got to see some presence of some. When men get off the bus, people need the children got to, but they need to see some men greeting them and everything. So, Doc, you got to stay over one more segment because this. I mean, you just hey, we ain't gonna let you leave.
Well, not only not staying one more segment, we're glad that you're staying in our community.
Oh, yeah.
That's right.
We're
That's
glad
right.
that you're staying here.
Yeah.
Right.
Because you're clearly needed. I mean, as one on the front line and the person, probably the individual that's dealing with the kids the most
Right.
is you.
That's right.
Yes.
That's right.
So, I
So
mean,
when
they need to listen to what it is that you have to say and have an ear to what it is, because a lot of times people, oh, I don't, he gone now, we don't need to do. But
Yeah. That's where the problem going in.
Yes, knowledge, what did Kumo D say? Knowledge is king.
That's right.
Is king, and you got that knowledge, but people a lot of times don't want to hear it and don't want to listen to it. But that's what you have to do. You have to listen to people that have already been there.
Right.
You have to.
Secretary, you trying to say something in the
I was
last
just
30
going to say, when we
seconds
come
in
in
this segment?
yes, sir. When we come back with the next segment, you all are talking about jobs and preparing and resume writing. I would love for us to expound on what SLPS has done with the Career and Technical Education Department and how our students come out with jobs. They come out ready for work.
Man, I know we got to go to a break, but just look how she talking. I remember when she first started with us, man. But I'm going to leave that alone. I don't need to go there to do it.
Mush mouth.
She sounds so
Mush mouth.
That's why we can't even start a program
Much
till
mouth.
she get here in the morning. I mean, I don't care what she do because she got to do a little hair and everything.
Much
And
mouth.
she got to start doing all this other stuff. But man, I think we
mouth.
better go to a break. That's what I think we
Mush
better
mouth.
leave mush mouth alone. Can we go to a break,
Mush
Mary?
mouth.
All right. You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600. Hallelujah,
Yes, sir.
AM. We'll be right back. Keep
it on
locked.
lock.
Quit playing.
Playing.
Oh! You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600. Hallelujah, AM. Boy, we having a good lively discussion, aren't we?
Oh,
We got
we are.
Brother Kelvin Adams, Dr. Kelvin Adams, Superintendent of St. Louis
I'm going to say the
Public Schools
honorable
in the house.
doctor. I'm going to take
Honorable doctor.
That's right. Calvin
yeah.
Adams. Look how he blushing over there, man. Early in the morning, boy.
Welcome, brother.
I'm next to the honorable mayor. That's what.
That's right. Oh, ain't no secret. Ain't no secret. Secretary, why don't you jump in and help us, please?
Absolutely.
We too radical, whatever they call this stuff. What do you call it?
Wayward.
Yeah, we wayward.
I'm going to get some wayward badges. That's what we're going to do.
Okay.
But we just kind of wanted to kind of shift a little bit because Mayor and Brother Shaheed was speaking about jobs and resume writing and everything and just preparing. They were not high school adults. But at St. Louis Public Schools, we have a career and technical education department that is just phenomenal. And I would love for you just to share some of the things that we do, the partnership with youth STL
Yes.
jobs. Where students are now being paid for their internship. Last year was the first year that, to my understanding, that we offered that paid internship.
That's powerful.
So,
Yeah, you're correct. What we did is we decided to, after the pandemic, I really realized that many of our young people really did not come back to school because they had jobs. They had to work. They had to support their families and help. And so they were used to being at home. They were used to working in Starbucks. And frankly and honestly, it was hard to get kids to come back to school. So one of the initiatives that we put in place, and I want to thank the mayor's office as well for giving us some money as well, but we spend about $2 million a year now identifying juniors and seniors and finding jobs for them such that in November, as early as November, but as late as January, they're working every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday while they're going to school, and we're paying them a living wage. We're taking care of the bus tickets for them. We're paying them a wage. They're working on their resume. They're going into some of these jobs after they finish high school. And so it's about 1,600 kids that we're looking to identify. The numbers right now are about 1,200. We graduate about 1,400 high school students a year, but these are students who've already taken care of all the academic work. I remember Brother Shahid reached out to me probably about 5 years ago when his son was at Cornerhand, and he said we have to do something for all kids, not just the bad kids.
I forgot
not just
all
the
about
one,
that.
just, oh, I don't remember. I don't forget anything, brother. And he said we have to find a way to support kids that are really working hard. That stuck in my mind from that point in time. And so we started working to find a way to find dollars for kids who are doing a great job. Yes, we spend a lot of dollars on kids who have some challenges. We all do that. We do that really well, I think. But sometimes we forget about those kids that are not necessarily having issues in schools, discipline or otherwise. And so from a CTE perspective, Dr. Josh Henning is working with that program with all of our high schools, and every single school is represented. It's not just the Roosevelt, the Vashons, and the Sumner, but the Metros, the CSMB. We are finding jobs for kids in their junior and senior year and paying them and helping them learn the soft skills necessary, how to be on a job, how to talk to somebody, how to look people in the face, how to shake a hand, all of those kinds of things that they would not normally get a chance to be exposed to, they're getting exposed to. So that's one of the things we're doing. We're also working to try, and I will give the board total credit on this, in terms of being a lot more active as businesses coming to the community to challenge those businesses to find internships and jobs for kids. So not only to address the TIF issue, but to make sure that there are commitments around jobs for young people once those businesses come to the city of St. Louis. And so the board has been active in terms of aggressively working to make sure that happens. And so from a CTE perspective, we're trying to find places that kids can have jobs, whether that's culinary arts, whether that's construction, you name it, we're working to make it happen in every one of our high schools such that kids have a job-like experience before they leave high school. So really excited about that. That's going to continue past me being superintendent. There's a real commitment from the board to do that and to make sure that we are giving every kid an opportunity, not just some kids an opportunity to develop the kind of soft skills. The last thing, and I'll shut up after this, we're trying to work with unions. Mr. Shahid, Brother Shahid addressed me as well about 4 years ago about getting some of these unions to come in, painters unions, plumbing unions, brought them to the table to ask them to work with us around that. And so we're working with one of our senators, and I'll let Brother Shahid talk about her, but we're working with our senators right now, one of our Senator Carla May, to kind of work with putting together initiatives to try to give kids an opportunity for jobs. Not that they might have a job, they get the training, they got the job. So if they're working in their junior, senior year, and they're going on those jobs, she's working on transportation, she's working on counseling, she's doing those kinds of things and exposing kids to some opportunities that they otherwise would not have, such that the workforce in the city of St. Louis looks like the people in the city of St. Louis and not like the people who are in other places, and that's a real important piece.
Thank you for sharing that information. So if you're listening this morning and you know a child that is in St. Louis Public Schools, 11th and 12th grade, have them reach out to their counselor.
Yep.
That program is the Earn and Learn program.
That's
Earn
right.
and Learn. It's through SCLU Jobs. Also, if you are a business and you say, you know what, I'd like to have a couple of students come out and intern at my business, you can reach out to Dr. Josh Henning over at St. Louis Public Schools CTE program. Again, that's Josh Henning's SLPS CTE program. I can tell you that a lot of people don't know that the students are able to, we have an EMT firefighter department at Gateway STEM High School, an aviation department where they learn how to work on actual airplanes in the building. We had a cosmetology.
Veterinarian program.
I teach the CNA program itself, and with that it comes medical terminology, college and career readiness skills, resume writing, human growth and development. But what I really love about the program is that the students, when they come through my program, we partnership with Orange Jewish Hospital and Beauvais Manor. So when my students leave, and I've been in the district since 2017, they were doing internships, and they have the option to go to work for Barnes. They have the option to go to work for Beauvais. I'm connected to SSM. I'm connected to the state of Missouri, the Missouri Veterans Home. So my students were already being employed. And that is so awesome. During this pandemic, I had students who I were able to get employed before they even graduated from high school.
that's beautiful.
I had one student, and I'm just going to be honest. I'll be very, you all know I have transparency here. I had a student who graduated, and he got hired at the nursing home I sent him to, and he came out of school as a certified nurse assistant, putting in his overtime.
That's big.
Wow.
Putting in his overtime. Here's the wild part. His check was bigger than mine.
Well, I'm gonna clap on that one too.
His check was bigger than mine.
Yes, Lord.
And
Yeah.
so,
That's beautiful.
because he put in overtime, they were offering bonuses, and it was just a great opportunity. He's desired to be a physician. He wanted to be a cardiologist.
Wow.
We got a chance to connect with Channel 9 PBS.
Yes.
And they interviewed him, and he did such a phenomenal job in that space. I love St. Louis Public Schools. I love what they give to our youth.
It shows too.
Yeah.
And the mere fact you rattling it off the way you coming off of it, you're not looking at notes.
That's right. It's-
She's
it's
coming off the
natural.
top of her head,
Natural.
brothers and sisters.
That's
And
right.
y'all, now the ones that's looking at us live this morning, they can see what she's doing, but those are just listening. This shows you how she feels about the St. Louis Public Schools. And as she said about your leadership, Dr. Adams,
Yes.
when you
Yes.
got a person, I think the worst thing in the world, and I think everybody would say this, not just Brother Shahid, is when you got to go to a job and you got to say, it's Monday. Damn, I got to go to this job and just, I just got 5 more years at this. Now,
5 more years.
That's the worst feeling in the world to have. And you can just see that you're happy about this here. And we appreciate everything that you do. Sister Secretary is really serious about school. She's serious about that nursing program
Yes,
and everything.
yes.
Education.
About education,
That's
period.
right. That's right, Mary. Education.
And she's the one set this whole thing up this week about education. She wanted to do this, and she thought that you need to be here to set the tone and to show you how a lot of plans. We plan a lot of plans. We plan a little bit different, but here it is now. We can really set the tone
Yes.
for who you are. It's God and His wisdom want just like
The
that.
education part is so important. Shahid, how many times have we had, when we had the call-ins, when people would call in and say, man, I've been in jail, I'm locked up for 18 years. One guy, I can't give up on him. His name is Kenny Boy. I mean, I love this guy. He's one that tear a garage down for you if you need one man's thing. But
Ain't
he
no
said-
secret.
Yeah, I asked him, I said, well, what happened to you? He said, well, I was at Eric Galloway's place on Broadway, me and my boys, and a guy was there with his girlfriend, and he stepped on my shoes. He said, we didn't say nothing. We just went back out in our cars, and we just waited for him to leave. And we followed him, watched him take his girlfriend, found him take his girlfriend home, and then we followed him home. And when he got up on his porch, I ran up there and shot him 4 times. And he said, I didn't get away. I said, I was didn't get 3 blocks away, and they called me. He said, and he said, I got sentenced to 18 years. And I said, wow. And he said, but let me tell you something. He said, that ain't the reason why I called. He said, I wanted you to know that I'm from a family that has a mother and a father. I have sisters and brothers.
Wow.
Everybody got together and got themselves together but me. I just couldn't give up the streets. That's what he said. And he said, I was in jail, Mayor Bosley, for 15 years, and I was blaming everybody for my problem but me.
That's a problem there.
And I said, well, at what point did the light bulb come on? He said, one day I woke up and I realized I was ignorant.
Take a real man to do that.
And I said, what do you mean? He said, I didn't know. I just was ignorant to the ways of things. And he said, I started reading. I started educating myself.
Yes, sir.
And he said, I pulled myself together. And he said, the minute I got out of there, I went over to Skull and Steel. And I poured my heart out to the guy. And I said, mister, I'm going to tell you. He said, I know you probably heard this before, but if you give me a job, I'll be the best employee that you ever had.
That's big there.
And that man said, when can you start?
Wow.
And he started
And he ain't
reading.
look back.
No.
This guy now is a movie producer. He does videos. He's doing all kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm just saying the growth
The light bulb went
from
on.
that light bulb coming on.
Yeah.
He was ignorant. That's why education
important.
is so
Yeah.
extremely
Yeah.
important. It's so extremely
It
important.
sounds like a Malcolm X story. It
Yeah,
sounds like
sure
it.
do.
So-
and we
Sure
have
do.
several of those.
And he just started reading,
Reading.
and that changed his
Reading.
life.
Right.
But two, Mayor Bosler didn't give up on him. See, sometimes you need somebody, by him being the mayor of the city of St. Louis, they look up to you. Like you being a superintendent, they look up to you.
you're
And
right.
the fact
You're
that
right.
you wouldn't give up on them.
That's right.
At some point, you got to, I'll say this and take less than a minute. During this time of year, my brother always told me in Memphis there's a movie to come out, and I never would look at it because it's doing a lot of white folks, but I had to look at it and look at the bigger picture. It's called It's a Wonderful World.
Oh, man.
Oh, yeah,
Jimmy
yeah.
Stewart.
And if you wasn't there, Mayor Bosley, I don't know where Brother Shaheed would be at because of how you impact my life. Dr. Calvin Adams, this is a lot of, if you hadn't have been there, it was times you was there. If you had not been there, maybe
you're
some
right.
things, I'm just saying. So we have to start thinking about that. If you hadn't have been there for that young brother, and Brother Shaheed, if it's a lot of brothers, I've been in jail 35, 40 years, I've never taken a dime. If I wasn't born, if somebody would have had an abortion, if I would
Yeah.
have not been there.
Yeah, no,
so
you're
you
right.
got to look, I used to wouldn't look at it.
What is it about?
A guy really started talking about if he wasn't there and everything was happening, up and down. There was always some problems every time he looked up. So he was saying, man, I hate him here. I hate him here.
Okay.
And he wound up having a dream, and he wasn't there. So when he would go over on where you stayed, wasn't no sense going there because you never was there. You never would be talking about to see your father because, hell, that's how I met you through your father. But you wasn't there. You wouldn't have never been born. If my mother never been born, you would never. If I wasn't born, you wouldn't have had no reason to meet my mom. So if you can just attract yourself in life, how many
Yes.
people have you touched as being who you are? I ain't talking about just being the mayor, just being you. You've always been a leader, mayor. If Dr. Calvin Adams wouldn't have been there, it was a damn suit salesman. This brother Shaheed speaking. They had a retarded white boy as a suit salesman that was over the school, the Board of Education in the city of St. Louis before you came. Mayor Bosley don't like to talk about it. White boy he didn't know his hair from his butthole. This brother Shaheed speaking.
Vin Shamo brought him in here from
Yeah.
all the way up to New York.
Yeah,
somewhere.
a suit. He sold clothes, and they put him on. That's how white folks can do things. White folks just do things. But we won't stay on. I don't want to start talking about white folks this morning.
Well, let's go back. We veggie back in this morning. I want to go back to what Mayor said.
The reading
The
piece.
reading piece,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And let's bring in Frable Elementary and the Believe Project and just how important that project is to have in SLPS.
Well, the reality is, after the pandemic, students have the test scores across the country show that students are reading less effective than they were before. And it's a national challenge. It's not just a challenge in the city of St. Louis, it's a national challenge because kids were not in school for basically 2 years. Imagine, at home for 2 years on a video. And so the Frable Project is a project that really focuses around reading. The idea is that we've contracted with an outside entity, a person, to help develop a reading lab, a reading effort in Frable School. It's the first school it's the second school that we are doing this in. And so I think on December the 6th, they will be there, and there will be a ribbon cutting for this particular school where books will be brought in for kids. It's a reading lab, a reading environment. For the next 2 years, teachers are going to be trained around reading. Students are going to be focused on reading in this particular school. Frable is a small school with about 225 kids. And the principal, Mr. Jim Triplett, has really wanted to make reading a real key effort or focus for his particular school. So he reached out to the gentleman, the name
Julius B. Anthony.
Julius B.
Yes,
Anthony,
yes.
who will be putting that in place at that particular school and making sure that reading is a real focus at this particular school. And so it's one of the efforts that we are doing across the entire district. Reading is, but this particular school decided to leverage some of their funds because we received these funds, as I indicated, ESSA funds, and we gave money to the schools to spend it the way that they wanted to spend it. And that's how they wanted to spend their money, focus on reading. Some schools bought furniture and other kinds of things, but that's what they're doing. And so Mr. Anthony will be there next week kicking off this effort. It will likely be in a newspaper, but the real focus at the end of the day is really about reading, the
Yes.
focus on reading and with the idea that reading has been such a real challenge for all communities, but especially communities of color. If you know anything about your history, you know that African Americans could not read. They were forbidden from reading.
Yes.
They were lynched for reading, and so reading has not necessarily been a focus for African Americans because of what happened through slavery. And so what we do as educators is try to get kids engaged in reading when kids right now are so focused around the phones, which engages them 90%.
Social media.
Social media just kind of taken off, and so kids don't read anymore. They text, they tweet, to tweet, to do all those other kinds of things, but they're not opening a book to read. The gentleman to my right is a lawyer. He went to law school. He spent 3 years reading like crazy almost everything that could be read, and he is where he is now because of his ability to read and understand text in a way that most persons don't. I spent a semester in law school, so I know what that's like. And so it's called a paper chase. And so he knows about reading and how important it is to how we as African Americans can separate ourselves from our own conditions if we spend time in books and learning what the word says.
That's right. And you know the old adage is, if you want to hide something from a black person, put it in a book.
Put it in a book.
That's
well,
it.
now they're putting it in a book, and over at Faber Elementary.
Yep.
And he says 1,000 books that they
That's right.
contribute to this project. I believe it's Kababi that does the artwork. I believe it's Kababi. Beautiful artwork, a beautiful setting with couches and pillows and
It's a hub where kids will go every
Yes.
day and feel comfortable reading.
Yes.
And the focus will be reading. They'll have downtime just to go there, chill out, not a videotape or anything, but a book where they can pick up
Yes.
the book and read.
and it's a student-led environment
Yes.
versus the teacher coming in with curriculum saying, okay, we're going to do this. The student gets to guide their own experience. Yes, sir?
I just want to just, in the last 3 minutes we got, what do we need to get you to get out that we haven't hit? What is it that, because it's so hard, so it used to be something so hard to say goodbye to yesterday, even though this is the beginning, the end is the beginning. But what do you need to give out, or what, give us something.
I think it's critical in this particular community that we, and the mayor said it, education is such an important component to what needs to happen, and we have to make sure that we keep it on the front burner. There will be all kind of issues that happen in our community, but if we don't make education a priority, and let me frame what I mean by that. That means that we have to involve ourselves in the lives of our kids
Yes.
by providing them with the resources and supporting them. Our kids need support, and this community sometimes gets amnesia as it relates to that. It becomes we run after the hot new thing. The hot new thing right now is soccer, and I'm not taking anything away from soccer. I think it's I think it's great for the community. Tax dollars will come, but education is the key component
Yes.
that needs to be focused in this community every single day. We can't walk
Yes.
away from that. We educate about 35,000 kids in this community. We support about 20,000 charters, do another 10, 11,000. There's a shrinking community. Right now the board is working on this idea of a citywide plan, and so we have to come up with a better strategy around how we support schools. We can't walk away with 13. We can't have 13 high schools because we don't have the numbers to support
Yes.
13 high schools. Mayor, you know that. You were mayor when the numbers were 50 or 60,000, and you fought hard because I read about you fighting hard about the desegregation program that moved African American kids from the city to the county. I read about you fighting those kinds of initiatives that really changed the whole fabric of this particular city. And so we have to make education a priority and remember that everything we do needs to be focused around supporting kids. The $250 million that you started the show with, those dollars, or at least a large percentage of those dollars, should be focused around places where kids can go, not just schools, but parks and rec centers where kids feel comfortable going on a regular basis. So at the end of the day, Brother Shaheed, it's about dollars focused on kids. And so I'll let the mayor kind of frame how he started. He started this conversation about $250 million. I'll let him frame about how he thinks these dollars need to be spent to support this community.
You just mentioned education.
Yep.
All right. And then you started talking about recreation. Now, this NFL settlement, this money comes from football,
You said that last week.
sports.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying? And so, in my view, and it's my view,
Yes, sir?
some of this money needs to be spent on recreation
Ain't no secret.
Yes.
in our neighborhoods.
Ain't no
And we don't have to reinvent the wheel.
No.
You already got a YMCA over there in O'Fallon Park. You got a YMCA over there in Carondelet Park. You've got not all, but you have several recreation centers. You got Herbert Hoover. You know, you got Tandy.
Man, we got
you got
to-
Park.
we gonna have to-
and now we got to go.
No,
we have to go.
we might have to kidnap
Thank
him.
you.
We got to go to the next segment, and that way he can at least
Dr.
close us out
Allen.
right.
You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600. Hallelujah! AM.
So what you gonna
Keep
do?
it on loud. Quit playing. Welcome back, St. Louis.
sir.
You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600. Hallelujah. AM. We've had a pretty good conversation, don't you think?
Yes.
Very
It's
powerful
been going on.
conversation.
Yeah,
And we don't want to
been getting it in with the superintendent.
But he's got to get ready to leave, so we wanted to let him have the final words because we was counting it down, and next thing we knew, the segment was already gone. So, Doc, if you put the icing on the cake, you done made the cake. Now you decide what kind of icing you want, and then my mother used to make the icing so good she'd let us lick the bowl.
I agree with you on that one, brother. First of all, I just want to say, as always, thank you. It has been my honor and privilege to serve this community for the last 14 years. I'm deeply committed to what happens in this community and for kids. And I see myself as a servant. And I am just really pleased that people like yourselves are committed to this community and will continue to work in it. And so I have nothing more to say but just thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. Thank you for allowing me to say this. Something you said just now, Brother Shahi, and I'll close with this. You said that about working. I've never worked in 14 years, the last 14 years. It has been a joy for me to do this every day. It has been an honor to do this. I've not worked. This has been a pleasure to go every single day to 801 into our buildings and support our kids in our community. I mean, if they're giving me $1 a year, I still would have done this. That's how committed I am to this community and these kids. And so just want to say thank you very much for the opportunity to serve, and I will continue to do that. If you ever need me, please don't hesitate to call me, 541-1165. That's my cell number.
That's your number.
314
That's your number.
541-1165.
That's your number.
That is my number, brother. I have no problem giving it out. If I can help in any way, shape, or form, I'm still committed to do that.
That's a great honor. And thank you.
Thank you. Thank you,
And
Jim.
we're glad
Appreciate it.
to know that you're going to be around.
Thank you so much.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to continue
All
our
right.
program. We're still live this morning, brothers and sisters. Dr. Adams is leaving out. We are so thankful that he's here, that he's leaving, that he's with us, though, and we just thank a lot for him. And we're going to roll to the next segment because we're still live as the secretary this morning here. And I know it's always when your guest is leaving, there's a little bit movement around.
Yes.
But so much stuff has been happening this week. But I really want to close out again until you decide what you're going to start talking about, Mary. That educational piece is powerful. For Dr. Adams to come here to the studio this morning and be here with us, that was extremely powerful, and I'm thankful. He shared a lot of information that a lot of us didn't know about, especially the school piece that you brought out to the secretary that they're doing, the piece with that
Over at
reading.
Faber Elementary, or which part?
That part.
Faber Elementary, guys. You can get tickets on Eventbrite. That is December the 6th at 1 p.m. You can go to Eventbrite and get tickets. Other than that, you won't be able to get in. And watch that, witness the ribbon cutting
The wonders.
Right,
of the
that's
Blue
good.
Project. Yes.
Dr. King used to say, why so tall as to reach the pole,
That's your saying there.
Yes.
or grasp the ocean at a span,
That's your saying.
I must be measured by my soul. The mind is the standard of the man.
That's right.
It's right here.
Yes, sir.
That's it. Once
It's
you
in the
get it here,
mind.
they can't take
Once
it
you
from
get in
you.
the mind, there's an old saying they used to do, Mary, when they would talk, they would say, can't nobody walk up to you and take nothing out your head.
That's right.
Can't nobody walk up to you and take nothing out your head. They might not give you nothing else, but whatever they done gave you is there.
And like a guy used to say when I was in high school, we used to call him Black Rob. But we say, Black Rob, what's going on? Black Rob would say, I got it. I got it.
Oh, wow. That's
All right.
Yes, sir. He would say, I got it. And that's what you, once you get your mind right, well, you know, it's hard to get your mind right in America for black people because your mind's been hijacked. But once you can get it, and you can get it under control. You
Yes.
can't, you know, I'm not going to
Once
say
you
you can
decolonize
totally
the mind.
there you go. I'm not going to say you can totally sanitize yourself, but you can do better than what you're doing.
Sure you
All
can.
you got to do is just start thinking about it more
Yes.
and be more reflective about what you're doing and more reflective about your choices. And here's the other piece. Deliberate.
Yes, sir.
And deliberate just means waiting for a few minutes. Just deliberate. Don't be so quick to spring into action.
Yes, sir.
It's not necessary.
That's right.
Yes. All right.
So I'm not sure what else you want to cover or what we're going to
What?
cover because what you going to hit.
No, I just want
I like what I mean.
yeah, I wanted to do, you know, I had this last week, but I didn't get it out because we got so immersed with that with that education piece about reading and all
That's-
those other things
which
that
was important.
I didn't necessarily think it was appropriate at that time, but now that Dr. Adams is gone, we don't hit on this thing real briefly. It's a gas station on St. Louis Avenue and North Florissant. It's a Shell station, all right? Well, the city has ordered that this gas station be shut down.
Okay.
The director of public safety, was that Dan Isom?
Yes, sir.
He has ordered that the owner of the Shell station at 2800 North Florissant close in 30 days. Close in 30 days. Now, some of y'all say, well, that's a business. Why they trying to close the business down? People won't have no place to shop and folks won't have no place to go. But look, the deal is, they say, and this is from the people in the community. It's not me, it's the people in the community, the individuals coming forward and saying, it's a hot spot for crime. Mm-hmm. It's a hot spot for criminal activity. That's what the people in the neighborhood are saying. And here's the thing, it's documented. St. Louis police have received 134 calls for service, meaning police come, we need some help, from the property, ranging from assault to theft. That's 134 calls.
That's a whole lot of calls. That's a lot of calls.
You say, is it?
I said, that's a lot of calls.
Damn right it is. So they have taken, the community is rising up. The community is saying, we've had enough. We need this place shut down. So don't blame the mayor's office. Don't blame the director of public safety.
Right.
Talk to the people over there. They got to live there. They want this place closed. And so it's being ordered to shut down within the next 30 days.
Well, I'm glad to hear that, because that's one place I heard. Now, to be honest, I never heard about that one, but they got one on Natural Bridge in Goodfellow. They call Murder Mobile. And they closed it's a hotel that's right next to that, just adjacent to that.
They call that the killing floor.
The killing floor. They shut it down, but not the station. You can drive by there damn near any time and see all kind of stuff that's happening. Now, I'm just wondering when they're going to do it, and because they got one of those police things up there, and you can always tell because
the shot spotter.
Right. And you can see the shot spotter.
And I think they got facial recognition up there.
They got all that there. So they're probably just waiting for a period of time before they go in on them. But the bottom line is...
Well, it's still open?
Yeah, they are. Not the hotel. But the service station,
the gas station,
they still open. So maybe Brother Dan Isom can just check on that. But the main thing, like you said, the public. You know, for me and you to know it's called murder mobile or mobile murder, wherever they call
murder
it.
Mobile.
The mere fact that we know that, and it's out with us.
That community tagged it.
That's what I'm saying. You know, so I'm glad that they're pointing this out, and that means that they did good.
Up.
They did good, because a lot of times when they're doing stuff like what they're saying and getting those kind of calls, they normally just go in there and shut them on down. Mm-hmm. If they can find out that they sitting selling different things and fentanyl or whatever they selling, they normally can go in there and shut them down. So that's really damn near is a blessing that they gave them 30 days. Yeah. You know, so
I didn't realize that it was that bad over there.
Huh?
Most of these places, I'm going to tell you.
That guy just got killed up there. Well, not just. 6 months to a year ago. They shot somebody's son, and we were going to try to talk to. I think we had tried to reach out to him or something, to have the family come to talk to us about it. This was like in the summer.
Wow.
And remember, they said the police saw him get out of the car, or he was up there, the police pulled up there, and he ran around the corner into the alley adjacent to the filling station. This is this filling station.
Same service station.
Yeah, this is
Well,
this
I'm
filling
glad, like you said, the public spoke up. See, it's one thing about other people speaking up, and like you said, you can't blame, Dan Isom or the mayor or nobody else. What they're saying is people are calling and saying this is a problem, and then the police got records and saying we're getting called here on a regular basis. That's
Absolutely.
a problem.
Yes.
You going there to get gas, you ain't going there to come run into no problem.
Right.
If they have that many
You gotta go
problems,
up and get your head cracked.
that ain't what you're going there for.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that one thing about what we try to do on this radio program, bro, since we bring out information and making sure. Now, whatever you want to do, if you want to continue to go by the service station, that's fine.
If you want to go, go on up there.
That's on you.
All right.
And I want to veg you. What else you got, man?
No, that was a key piece.
I want to just veg you a little bit off of too on Verizon and this ADB. I want to just get a little bit on that because now what I found out for a fact, 100% sure, that from your curb to going towards your house, not from the curb into the street, from the curb into your house. The last time from your curb to your house is 9 feet that they have what they call a right-of-way. That utility companies can come in because what they've did to so many of us, and a lot of y'all need to know this, you think that they can just come to your property like that. They first of all supposed to have some type of meetings letting you know. Because really what you damn near calling it is your co-owners. And by you being co-owners, they supposed to let you know what they're doing and supposed to have a conversation with you. That's one thing. Then they put those door things on your door to let you know what day they're going to start, because now they're going to take the trucks and park in front of your house and really just come in and just take over and not communicate with you. But they do not supposed the property line for them is exactly 9 feet. I'm 1,000,000,000% sure on that because they came out. And they showed me, and it's like maybe on mine, it's like the second step. They damn near up on the 5th or 6th step, just way past.
They're up in the bushes.
They're up in the bushes, and they ain't for nobody for nothing. So that's your private property.
Flowers and stuff.
That we always thought that you had property and nobody could just come on your property. That part is your property, but the other thing that you have to check and see that I didn't know is some of that stuff was done. And when you bought your house, you might have not signed for it. Some of the stuff that you signed, the utility companies can come in there and do it. But sometimes, depending on what's in when you bought your house, some of that you're not even under that. But if you are, they cannot go past 9 feet from the curb towards your house. And if they went past that, you got a problem with
them. So get your measuring tape out.
Get your measuring tape.
Go on out there and measure it off, and then tell them, yeah, this is it. From here to here, that's it.
And then when they do it, Mayor, and people out in the public and everybody, it's supposed to look exactly the way they started or better.
Okay.
They can't come in and make it look worse or cut down trees. And then when they cut them down, just tell you, slam, bam, thank you, ma'am, that's your problem, and you got to figure it out and fix it. They can't do that.
Okay, now. Here I go again. You can open it back up.
What you gonna talk about?
Nuclear gas. Well, y'all call it spire.
I know what I come
like. What?
Go ahead.
Yeah, nuclear gas. Now you heard Anthony Shaheed talk about this 9 feet. All right, from the curb, measure 9 feet, and that's probably right out, like he say, the first step.
Right.
Up to your front.
Right.
All right. Now, spire and nuclear gas is up on your property.
They don't supposed to do that.
Yeah, they got me. I guess first we had to check again to see what type of easement they have. You see, they're all different kind. So this easement maybe specifies that they have the right to come up that far on your property. I don't know, but we'll have to check into that. But see, Leclerc Gas is up on your property. Leclerc Gas is putting meters and stuff
on the
outside of your house and under your porch.
Right.
And then they also coming in your house trying to tell you that you have to tear things out of your house and that you have to fix it.
Please do not sign that. Now, that's very important what you just brought up, Mary. Don't let nobody come up in your house telling you that you got to sign something and that they're not responsible for what they tear up in your house. That's a lie. And all you got to do is don't sign it. If you sign it, then that's your fault. That's your problem. But you don't sign it. And I'm going to tell you what's normally happens. Most of them are signing it, Mary.
Well, when is a black person not going to sign something when a white person put it in front of? Now, they already stay smart on that because they don't have the black people asking them to sign nothing. They have the white people asking them to sign.
And they think they got to sign.
Yeah.
And it don't go like this. So don't let them do it. But what they got to do, Mary, is if they came up, wherever they came in, they cannot come on your property and make it worse. They got to make it better because all the time where it's being worse, there's the other problem you got with them. Your property value goes down. If they come through and just dig holes and just throw some grass, I'm going to tell you where I went. I went in Velda Village. And when you go down Natural Bridge, just before you get to the fire station, I forgot the name of that street, you make a left. If you go down maybe about 3 or 4 blocks and make a right,
where's Natural Bridge?
If you're going down Natural Bridge, after you cross Lucas and Hunt,
right?
It's before you get to Lucas. After you cross Jenny Station Road, if you get to Lucas and Hunt, you done went too far.
Between Jenny Station Road and Lucas and Hunt.
But it's closer to Lucas and Hunt. If you about 2 blocks before you make a left, you go on toward Velda Village. The water company, because all of them is messing up. Not only did they mess up those people's yard, because I went by there and saw that the other day. Man, they throwing some damn straw down there.
Where is
There's
this
a
at?
lot in Velda Village. When they call themselves putting the grass back, they didn't even put no what do you call it, seeds down. To at least try to play like they growing some grass. They threw some damn straw down there.
Now, wait a minute. Now, how do you know?
I
that
drove down the street.
That because the grass. Hold on.
they had
wait.
to dig the hole.
straw is put down to stop the birds from getting to the grass seed.
Man, ain't no damn bird seeds down there. It's straw down there.
Grass seed.
Ain't no, whatever you want to throw down there to make the grass grow, ain't a damn thing down there but some damn straw. And all I'm telling you is, it's surface, you got Zorzor grass. Maybe you don't even have sod. They supposed to put it back the same way, because you can't sit and put a toupee on and a person got a bald head. You got to make that stuff match. They'll say, hey man, you got a toupee on. They doing a toupee job on these people's yard, I'm telling you. And these yards look ridiculous, and all I'm telling you is people cannot come in your yard doing what they want to and don't check with you. They got to come in there doing it right. And this is the utility company, so they don't get confused. Utility companies can come up and do things because they have what they call a right-of-way. They abbreviate to ROW. But when they get through doing it, they got to make it look the same way or better, and this is what they're not doing. They're not even checking with these people.
Yeah, and it is utilities are presumed to have a right of way because they need access
Correct.
to their equipment. All right, and so that's pipes and stuff that's running from the curb or from the street to your home. All right, and so that is one of the reasons why Laclede Gas is up on your property, because they're trying to access the stuff that's already in your house.
Right. Well, Laclede is the only one that should be doing that. But even with that, what you'll find out, and it's not Laclede, it's Spires.
You call them what you want to call them.
Well, okay, Laclede Spires, they still got to come in and check with you, because what they're absolutely doing now is you're the homeowner.
Yeah.
And if y'all are co-owners and they supposed to be able to come in there, it's a way that they're supposed to come in there. The next thing they got to do is still a property line that they're supposed to be dealing with. They cannot touch your property until you give them permission. If you don't give them permission, they can't just say they coming on there.
Well, and to their defense, they do, when they put the little hanger on your door, they put on, we came by.
But that's not good enough.
We call us, no, there's a telephone number. Call us so that we can schedule an appointment to come and talk to you.
But what you got to remember, a lot of times when they don't have a community meeting where them and the aldermen and stuff sit down and go over things so you can be clear on it, they might even do that. I'm going to tell you how they play a game, and I'll say this in the last minute.
You got 2 minutes.
They'll come in and have a meeting, but maybe they'll have 100 people show up, maybe 150 people.
Maybe less.
Maybe less. Right. But in that ward, you might have 2,000 people there. Mm-hmm. So, and then if you ask them to show me how many people signed saying they know what happened, if they ain't had number 2 or 3 meetings and they ain't had nothing but 100 people out of a meeting, that means the majority of people don't know. They have the obligation and responsibility to make sure that you understand what they're doing. They don't suppose, and that's what most of our people do. They assume because they're the utility company they can get this out. I'm telling you 100% sure they cannot do that, Mayor.
Well, but also, the people at a meeting, though, can't sign to give approval for them to access houses other than their own.
That's correct.
You see,
that's important.
You can sign, if you had a meeting, you can sign for your own damn house.
That's
but
right.
That is by no means an effort to let that be done to the other people.
So just putting a door hanger on that do not explain, and that's what they're doing. And then the other problem that I'm always having a problem in the last 30 seconds is they bring in all-white crews in an all-black neighborhood with absolutely no black folks there. Now that's a major problem, that the white folks can come in there, make you think that they can just come on your property because they're the utility company, don't got to check, but you go past 9 feet, don't put your grass back right, and then when they do put the sod down, you have to water. If it's hot, you got to make sure before you put it down there, it's plenty of water down there. Then you put it down there, and every day they're responsible for coming back watering, and if you don't, then it's your fault because they get you to sign for something, and you ain't got no business signing the damn thing.
Let me say this. There is a sprinkling of black people in the area that are working with the crews.
Well, the sprinkling, I'll be damned.
There is a sprinkling.
And the only reason it's sprinkling because there's a whole lot of salt, and you're going to see that black.
That's right. There's a sprinkling. There's not a major effort to have them there, but there is a sprinkling.
I need to go to a break, man.
I'm trying to tell you, I'm going to take you out. I can sense your frustration.
Yeah.
You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ.
You got to say hallelujah.
Hallelujah, AM.
And
keep it on lock.
And do what?
We'll be right back.
Well, stop playing.
Oh, ooh.
And that.
Well, no, it wouldn't be like, it wouldn't be us.
Okay. Well,
If you rehearsed it, it wouldn't be us.
Okay, we got to start.
Yeah, well, that's it. Is it back on?
No.
You're listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600.
Good morning. Okay,
AM.
we covered so
Welcome
much.
back.
Yeah.
All right, now.
We
So, Brother Shaheed, what else did you have there?
Well, I want to just talk about, I'm sad this week they killed that brother, Kevin Johnson. I'm really sad about that. So I ain't no sense me playing like I'm not.
Yeah, they made
killed-
appeals.
They killed that brother's son, little brother, 12 years old. This brother was 19 years old. He snapped, but he said he snapped. And it just shows you that Governor Parson, I have no respect for him. I never have had respect for him. But he didn't even do what I call the humanly thing to do. He didn't want to do it, but he had another person, I'll let you jump in, called Bob McCullen. This is an old racist guy. I'm talking about one of the old racists that, he specialized in doing this, and he always had a problem with black people because it was a black man. From my understanding, I could be correct if I'm wrong, but I'm damn near 99% sure I know what I'm talking about. His father was killed by a black man killed his father, and his father was the police. And even the accident that he has, because he has some issues going on, and I'm not making fun of it, but the accident that he has him with all the problems that he had with his body, he was in an accident. I understand a black man was driving a car and hit him and messed him up like that. So he really has a problem with black folks, and he shows it. He showed it with the Michael Brown case and how he was as a defense attorney instead of prosecutor for Darren Wilson. But jump on it.
Well, I just want to add that in the Kevin Johnson situation, one of the things that people find most disconcerting about this is that the Supreme Court and the prosecutor's office would not take into consideration which we call mitigating circumstances, things that may have entered into the situation that would not necessarily cause the penalty to be as severe. Like you said, he snapped. He had some issues going on long before this came up. And like Felicia last week pointed out, there were situations where whites who were similarly situated and had killed people.
Sister Michelle Smith really went into it real deep, and she explained the different ones. She knew the police names and the two white boys that had plotted to kill police.
Absolutely.
The same scenario, and he didn't do anything about that. Those people are still in jail.
Yes.
And we weren't expecting for Kevin Johnson to walk out of jail. We expected for him to be in jail for the rest of his life, but he was apologetic. He was concerned. He talked about being remorseful, the whole piece, but they didn't give a damn about none of that.
No, they didn't. And the governor even made a statement about it.
Yeah, I heard that too. He made some kind of statement.
The governor made a statement, Felicia, about Kevin Johnson situation and the fact that they refused to take into consideration mitigating circumstances to allow him to not be executed, but allow him to just be in jail.
And I'm going to be honest with you, that whole week, it was hitting me before time, but when I really started counting it down, I felt like this was me getting ready to be executed. I really did. Just knowing what he was going through and knowing how they just really just show how callous they are. I keep saying this, me talking, we're in two different worlds. These white folks, Michael Jackson said, all I really know is that they don't really care about us. It's us running behind, kissing they behind. They're not running behind us, kissing they behind, because they want this America to be great again by making it white.
Well, people did and are taking it extremely hard.
Yeah.
And to give you an example, I hadn't thought about it. It wasn't on my mind that day, but several people came up to me on the street.
Ain't that something? 'Cause it was out there.
And a couple of them had tears in their eyes.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
About Kevin Johnson.
It was serious.
And I said, that might hit you like that?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
It did the same to me. It was
Okay.
very difficult for me to even stay at work on that day because that night before I went to bed, I was, let me go back. Thanksgiving, I was saying, would this actually be the last Thanksgiving day that Kevin Johnson would be here on this earth? And so that's when it started. I'm trying to just celebrate Thanksgiving with my family, just family time. And then as we led up to the days and we're counting down and we're just hoping and looking at the news articles trying to see if he was going to be granted clemency, texting Michelle Smith, reaching
Yes.
out to other
Well, I
people.
loved her.
Yes, just reaching out to other people trying to see, will he be granted clemency? And then we get down to those last days. I couldn't even stay at work.
No.
Between dealing with coming off the pandemic, coming off the children, the teacher and the student being shot at an SLPS to turn to this, it was just so much to take in, and I had to cut my day short. I couldn't do it. And then on that day,
Yes.
It was just,
and still today,
Yes. This morning. Still ain't shook it.
we're never going to shake
No,
it.
you're not going to shake that. These people just, and it wouldn't be so bad, Mary,
19 foster care homes.
if it wasn't that Sister Michelle gave us exact people, the name
Yes.
of police, and the other
she
people that
put
are
it
sat-
out there the way it was supposed to be
And they
put
didn't,
out
like you
there.
said, 19 homes that you done been in and out of, you don't take none of that into consideration.
Nothing.
And what my problem is, and we're not against police.
Right.
We're against bad police. But it's like police never do nothing wrong. I've never seen a fraternal order of police ever come out and damn near condemn a police officer. They kind of came close up there with the George Floyd piece. But for the most part, I've never seen a fraternal order of white police come out and never take a stand on nothing dealing with police officers. And when I see them coming in, it's like thugs and hoodlums. When they come into a courtroom, they're damn near come 100 strong. And if ain't a group of brothers like what me and the brothers up there, me and the brothers, we catch them before they walk up in there and set the tone for them. Come on, let's walk up in there together. Since y'all want to walk up there, we're going to walk in there with you.
Yeah.
But other than that, they come and intimidate the whole courtroom by coming in with the police presence like that, and they never condemn, that's the word to do, would you condemn them or repudiate? They never repudiate a police officer on nothing. Now, you know it's got to be some kind of bad police out there. I ain't saying all of them. I have blood members in my family. I'm not against police. I'm against bad police. But I mean, the Minister, the Secretary even talked that night, and she was really just, I could hear it all in your voice, but if you remember what I told you, you was doing something, I said, I can't talk right now.
He told me he couldn't talk.
I said, I ain't feeling this at all. I mean, whenever I'm damn near crying like that, it's touching. So,
And what you
know,
shared, you said, I need to go into prayer
That's exactly
this
what I
last
told you.
hour.
That's what I
And when
said.
you said that, that's what I said, okay, let me do the same.
I was serious in a heart
Because
attack.
there was nothing else we had.
No, so, but that's a lot to have prayer, and those many people was praying. But
Yeah.
you right, Mary, brothers from the streets was all in it. But we ain't got nothing but a couple
So we
more
want
minutes.
you all to remember, thank you, Brother Shaheed, for touching on that. But we want you to remember the other foot, the film, The Other Foot.
That's right, December the 10th.
The Other Foot. And I just wish we could have we can get a film on this situation here, The Other Foot. But in the meantime, December the 10th, guys, you can get tickets off in Eventbrite. That is the film where our young brother came in, Brother Rashad Mumin, Dr. Mumin, I believe he is. He came in, and it's a film on slavery where he switches the characters, where
He
the
flips the
slave
script.
masters, he flipped the script. The slave masters are white, and the slave masters are black, and the slaves are black. And then there will be a Q&A afterwards. 11 a.m., red carpet. 12 o'clock noon, film will play. And after the film, we'll go into a Q&A.
That's beautiful. Find a black business, brothers and sisters. We don't have to give you which one it is. It's plenty. Y'all going to throw all y'all money away, and it's okay. Throw some of it to some black folks. You can at least do that.
Just a little bit.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, more than you've been. That's the key. If
Yes.
you can do more than you've done, or been doing, that's a start. The journey of 1,000 miles
first step.
began with a single step.
Add up your receipts, and you can see if you just talk black or if you black. And don't call the show. Don't tell us. Don't see Mary Bosley on the street and say, "Show me about the resume."
Right.
Just add it up.
Yeah, and here's the other key. First, you got to recognize that your mind has been hijacked.
That's a good word.
You got to recognize that your mind has been hijacked. And once you do that, then you start trying to think, well, how can I help myself? And so you do that by thinking about positive things and positive influences in your life, not negative things, positive things that are going to uplift you. They're going to uplift you and help you feel better about yourself and help you feel better about others.
We had a real powerful show, brothers and sisters. We're down to our last 10 seconds, but Dr. Calvin Adams came this morning and showed up and showed out. So, Mary, we got to leave.
It's time to go.
Right.
Ladies and gentlemen, you've been listening to the Freeman Bosley Jr. Show on KTZ 1600 AM.
Yeah.
It's been real. Catch us every Saturday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on KTZ 1600.
Keep it on lock.
Hallelujah.
Keep it on lock.
Quit playing.
playing.
Oh.